Yeah, so this is coming along. Not really liking the lighting. I think the big, bright directional lights casting the really dark shadow just looks very artificial and strange, and it's really distracting to see this very dark shadow here. And it's strange to have the light so parallel to the ground. Um, the other thing that's really catching my eye is the way the feet they just kind of float above the ground here. They never like it's never actually touching the ground. I think you need to move the root down and move the feet down on those poses and make sure they're actually touching the ground because even here, they're still. I mean that's closer. That looks okay, but here he's just floating, and that's pretty distracting. I think both his root and his feet are too high there. What I did in Maya is I I hid both of your lights, and then I just created the default physical sky. And we still have a bit of shadow here, so which is surprisingly sharp, honestly. But I think at least it's a little lower, and you can adjust the elevation and those kinds of things to make it more of a sunlight above him if you want. And you might like that better. So I would experiment with that, but I think like the big directional light pointing right at him isn't such a great look. So I would just say play with the lighting. I can still see this is probably more of a big shadow on him than I would like with this one. But we could try like increasing the elevation, for example, make it more like middle of the day or something, and see what that does to the shadow. Might want to turn down the render quality to test this because it's a bit slow. Well, that's a bit dim, but it's definitely softened the shadow. We could increase the intensity. Yeah, that's lighter, and now we don't have that crazy dark shadow behind him. So I have a play with it, but see if you can lose that shadow because I found it really distracting, and then just get him, get his feet and all that move down onto the ground. Should be able to see. How that's floating above the ground there. So and I don't rotate the foot like this. Like I just use the roll thing to get it to do that, and I don't use this rotation here. So I would tend to keep that at 0 and get rid of that. And when he sets his foot down, make sure it's flat on the ground. And this is what I was saying with the root is that if the root's too high, it's not letting you, so because it's overextending. So that has to be lower as well, or it's going to lift the foot off the ground. And it's kind of dragging here. You could probably, have one in between. And then when it hits, what I usually do is like maybe here I'll kind of, start rolling it back, and then it's all the way rolled back there. And then a few frames later, it flattens out. So then you get something like that. Probably doesn't need to be that high here, actually.